Hi all, this is Skate, and welcome to the wonderful and wacky world of Tanks Blitz. This update, how can I describe it? It's bemusing, amusing, and confusing. It's update 4.7. And as I was going through this update on the test client, I laughed a lot and was also very confused. So we'll start with the T62A. Remember, it had an accuracy buff. It's now the same accuracy as a Leo 1. Well, it's just gotten AP and heat buff on the penetration. It's now 245 instead of 240 mil on the AP, and the heat penetration's gone up from 290 to 300 millimeters. Yeah, I don't get it. I genuinely don't get it. Accuracy, the same as a Leo. Better penetration than an Object 140. The only thing is missing is 1 degree of gun depression, and it's completely beating the 140 in every single aspect. So yeah, these T62A buffs just... why? I really don't get it. But we're going to move on from there. Right, the FV4202 now has a new gun. This is the 105mm Royal Ordnance L7A1, which has heat as its premium ammunition and 170mm on its hesh. And then it has a new gun called Gun. Except this has hesh, finally, back as the premium ammo. However, look at the penetration value on the standard hesh. They've dropped it from 170mm to 105. Which means if we go and fit the calibrated shells, your high explosive or your hesh premium ammo is going to have 231mm. And your non-premium is only going to have 116. However, if you stuck with the other gun with heat, well, you'd have 170mm on the non-premium version. Feels a little bit punishing. But then let's look at the Centurion. You have 170mm again on the hesh. Heat on this gun, 300mm, 255 on the APCR. However, they fitted another second gun, named Gun. Except the hesh non-premium drops from 170mm to 105. Granted, this thing has the hesh premium ammo, which is what we all wanted back, but kind of feels like we're being punished, especially as if you look at the shell cost, it doesn't change dependent on the gun, which it should really, shouldn't it? Because you're paying the same price for one shell, which does 170mm in one gun, and in the other gun, which is exactly the same hesh, you get 105mm, and you're paying the same cost. Makes no sense. Don't get me wrong, I'm really happy that we've got hesh back as the premium ammo, and that will be the gun I'm going for. However, I just don't understand the choice on the non-premium hesh and dropping it 65mm. That being said, we're just going to have to see how those two guns pan out in battle, and I'm definitely going to have to do a comparative video on those. But then we need to look at the Batchat. Very happy with this buff, guys. Reload, intra-clip reload, has gone from 3 seconds to 2.5. They've also buffed the terrain resistance. We can't see the figures, so we're going to have to wait till 4.7 actually comes out to see what has changed. However, it does feel that little bit more mobile. So yeah, there's a nice little buff for the Batchat. I think the biggest thing is the intra-clip reload, and that's going to make all the difference. It's only a second, I know, but it is going to make all the difference. You've increased your DPM ever so slightly as well. And then there is another change to some tier 10 and 9 tanks I'm very happy with. The Foch and the Foch 155. The side armour has been increased from 50mm to 75. What that basically means is we can put a little bit more of an aggressive angle on that front plate and not have to worry so much about the sides being penetrated. That I very much like, because this tank isn't a popular choice, yet for some reason I really enjoy it. The other thing then is there is rumour that the rangefinder has received an armour buff. However, there's no official figures from Wargaming as of yet as to how much of an armor buff. So, I've just left it as a rumour of armor buff on the rangefinder. When we get official word, I will make sure I update with that. Now the next thing is a nerf, and I'm a bit disappointed by this because the Ferdinand's only just made a comeback. It's had a hit point nerf from 1400 to 1200. That's a pretty significant nerf to hit points. Now I'm hoping it won't have too much impact on the latest influx of 30 drivers, because I'm happy to see these things on the battlefield again. I personally am driving mine again. I bought it back and I'm really enjoying it. And talking of tanks which have made a comeback recently, there are two other nerfs inbound. The Tiger has had its rate of fire cut from 10.79 to 9.63. I kind of get this one. It was a little bit outrageous. It was a little bit overcooked in the last patch. But I'm a bit annoyed by this as well. And the reason I'm a bit annoyed is because in 4.5, they buffed the Tiger P's DPM to the same as the Tiger. That's wrong in my book, and the reason that's wrong is because the Tiger P has considerably better armor. Yeah, granted the mobility isn't as good, however it has a nice belt of 200mm armor, and they buffed the corners, so it was no longer 80mm, it was 200. Which means this thing was a little bit OP. The Tiger P was completely OP. Personally, what I would like to see is the Tiger P having slightly less DPM than the Tiger. Now the Tiger P has received a nerf, just like the Tiger. The rate of fire has gone from 10.79 to 9.63. It's still got the same DPM with a better frontal profile. Now, shooting a Tiger when you're going past it full speed, you're going to penetrate pretty much everywhere on the front of it. Shooting one of these things as you go past, no, you kind of need to aim for weak spots. So yeah, the Tiger P is still going to be better than the Tiger, just like it has been for the last patch, since they severely upped the rate of fire on it. With that in mind, I wouldn't be surprised if we see another nerf in the future to the Tiger P. Now, away from buffs and nerfs on tanks, there's a new feature coming in 4.7. And it's very, very nice. It's so simplistic, it's great. Minimap. The map is now broken down into 9 sectors. Top left-hand side of the map is Sector 1. Sector 2 is directly on its right-hand side, so if you go Sector 1 there, Sector 2, Sector 3, Sector 4. I'm not going to go all the way through, you get the idea. But that's broken down into 9 sections. Now, there are going to be people pinging this like mad, but it's no different to them pinging SOS or affirmative, 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 negative. But this is a very nice little touch. It's something so simple, but you can tell someone where you intend on going. Not just A, B, or C. You can actually highlight a sector, possibly which direction you go in, trying to get people's direct, quick attention in that route. This is only a positive. This can't be looked at as a negative. It's only for touch devices, which you could argue then gives an advantage to touch devices. However, auto-aim PC, enough said. And then there's 2 final buffs and nerfs I want to highlight in this video. The KV5, what's commonly known as R2-D2 on the front of it, has received a buff to its armor. Now, there hasn't been any specifics to confirm what, or how much rather, as of yet. Not that I've seen directly from Wargaming anyway. Regardless though, this is a great big weak spot on the front of the KV5, which nowadays kind of makes the KV5 a little bit irrelevant. There's so many better tanks. But this might see the KV5 coming back a little bit, because any buff to the armor of that thing is welcome. And this thing does make a truck ton of credits, just like the T-34 does. So I wouldn't mind seeing this thing improved with that big old weak spots on the front of it, heavily buffed. The other and final point then, the Glacial 112. Appalling penetration on the standard AP. It was 175. It's now gone up from 175 to 215. So again, a very, very welcome buff to that tank. And that's it for what I've got on update 4.7 for now. This is all from the common test server, but it's this thing. It's honestly, I just can't look at it and not laugh. I mean, why? It's got to be a personal favourite of somebody's. Because the only thing this medium tank now lacks is gun depression. Aside from that, it's got great DPM, it's got better penetration than it did have, it's got amazing accuracy, it's got a great armor profile for a medium tank. There's nothing this thing's lacking in my book. Now, I personally enjoy the T62A. Something tells me I'm going to enjoy it more, again, while laughing. Now, it's only an extra 5mm, but you'd be surprised how much that can make a difference, especially when you slap on some calibrated shells. And obviously you got an extra 10mm on the heat. It's just, I don't know, it just constantly keeps getting buffed. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching, guys, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.